Collecting all your major music royalties. The first thing that most upcoming artists hear when they enter the game and they start doing this full time is, I need to sign up for ASCAP or BMI to make sure that I am secured with my songwriting royalties, and that's it. So that's completely wrong, and I have to hand it to ASCAP and BMI because they do a great job of making themselves known out here. So much so that most songwriters think that this is all you need to do to get your songwriting royalties. Actually, most of that songwriting money that you make from Spotify and Apple Music, all those streams, do not come from ASCAP or BMI. So if you're an artist that's about to do some big numbers, you're going to be leaving a lot of money out on the table. Alright, so let me break this down in plain musician language. Songwriters write the compositions of songs, and that's all they do, they just write it. Artists make the recordings of these compositions, and that's all they do, they record it. This comes into play because each entity, the songwriter and the artist, collect their own royalties on their own. So if you're an artist writing your music, recording your music, performing your music, you're the one that should be collecting royalties for all these little actions, okay? If you write it, you should be collecting. If you're recording it, you should be collecting. And if you're performing, you should be collecting. Now we're going to get into our first way to collect your major music royalty, and that is through your PRO, aka your performance right organization. And let's start off with the fee. This is usually around $50 to $150 depending on which service you use. Now there's a handful of pro services out there like ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and a bunch of others. So we'll stick to the ones that you probably already know of, ASCAP. So let's check out ASCAP and sign up for an account just so you know how to maneuver through this, alright? And let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to sign up as a performer and a publisher, okay? Like I mentioned before, you want to collect both royalties if you're going to be the one writing and performing the music and recording the music. So select this join option right here where you can become your own writer and publisher. So just click that, okay, and then publisher company type, you're going to put in your LLC corporation, the one that you made in the beginning. You're going to hit continue on this. So you're just going to enter this basic information here, what country, your tax ID. So you're going to get that through your business entity, the one that you created. You should have an EIN number. Just put that right in there. All right. And then everything is going to pop up and you're just going to hit continue. And that's it. So if you have any questions regarding this process right here, just make sure to drop a question in the Facebook group and we'll get to that question ASAP. All right, and number 2, next one up, we're going to go with SoundExchange. And SoundExchange is completely free for you, so that's awesome. It collects digital royalties only. For example, these recordings could be any music that you have on web radio, right? College radio, websites with music. So when you sign up for SoundExchange on SoundExchange.com, this will collect all your royalties that are non-interactive, and that's the term they use. It's called non-interactive. So this service actually collects from Pandora as well. In order for them to cut the check, you need to accumulate around $10 first for them to send it out, and this requires a lot of streams. But if you're spending on college radio and frequent radio shows, this would make sense, and it makes sense regardless to sign up because it's free. So remember, you always have to come back to this when you have a new song or album. Always register your new record or project. 3, we're going to go with Nielsen SoundScan. So basically, SoundScan is a method of tracking sales of music and music video products throughout the United States and Canada. An important thing to note about SoundScan is that this also plays a major role when anyone purchases your music through any sort of platform. Once they purchase your music, it needs to come through Nielsen SoundScan. So if you don't have this set up, you won't get paid properly. So this is something you need to take advantage of. And once again, it's free. It doesn't collect royalties per se, but it's very important to do if you are trying to take your music to the next level. And eventually, you never know what might happen. So definitely have it registered. Alright, number 4, we're going to go with BDS, aka Broadcast Data Systems. This is also known as encoding your song when you actually go through this registration process. So you'll need to get the login information as well. It's the same thing as SoundScan. It comes from the same owner. So you'll need to get your login information first. So this is how you get your login information. So you're going to write an email with the subject virtual encode access as a subject. And you're going to be sending it to the client services department at the client services at bdsonline.com. So number 5, music reports. Music reports is free and it helps songwriters collect mechanical royalties in the US. Their service allows musicians to better track and manage their music rights, licensing, and royalties. So the company undertakes music rights clearances, licensing, and accounting for digital and background music services such as Amazon, Deezer, Flipagram, Microsoft, Pandora, iHeart, Play Network, SiriusXM, all right, Slacker, SoundCloud, and Tidal. So those are a lot of these platforms that you are missing out. If you're not signed up with music reports, you are missing out on these royalties. So this is free once again, so definitely take advantage of it. So if you have some fans outside of the US, say someone's in Brazil, right, and they're streaming your music through YouTube, Spotify, whatever it may be, these mechanical royalties, right, they need to be claimed for, and these are collected by the entities outside of the US, aka music reports. So music reports will collect that for you. Sign up for that. It's completely free, and this is how you do it. Okay, you're going to log into musicreports.com. You're going to choose your solution. I create own music. I create/own music. You're going to hit next. And here you're just simply going to fill out and create an account. Simple stuff, your company name, your society, so who you are registered with, ASCAP, BMI. So you're just going to put it, for this instance, ASCAP. And your IPI number is registered to you once you create your ASCAP. So if you have trouble finding that, just simply make a question in the Facebook group and we'll answer that ASAP. Number 6, you're going to want to register with Mediabase. And Mediabase is free to you to use, and Mediabase is free, so it tracks radio and satellite airplay. It's almost similar to BDS, but it doesn't pay out royalties per se. So it's a valuable data system for your music when you're signing up and registering your tracks. It's basically a service that will track your music on terrestrial radio and satellite radio. To get on to Mediabase, this is the information that you'll need. So Mediabase is simply an encoding process that you need to do for your records or your projects, your albums that you have releasing. So if you have a song out, you want to encode, and you want to make sure that that's something that you do with everything moving forward. This is what record labels do, and this is something that you need to take care of as well. So encoding process, it's simple. It's with Mediabase. So if you think your music is going to get played on AC, Smooth AC, Top Canada's Top 40, all this stuff, you want to click all of these because you don't know where your music might go. So go ahead and click all these boxes and fill this out. So you're going to want to submit an MP3 file of your record when you do this. So remember that. Number 7, ASCAP on stage, or if you're with BMI, you want to do BMI live. For this instance, we're going to use ASCAP on stage, and it's free to you to use this feature. And what this feature does is it gets you paid for live performances that you do. And a lot of people don't know about this feature, but every time that you perform, whether it be at a showcase or at a party or whatever it is, you have the opportunity to collect some royalties for these performances. And it might not be much, but at the end of the day, it all adds up depending on how many times you do perform. So hey, get paid for your performances and sign up for ASCAP on stage or BMI live. So the first step when doing this is you're going to want to create a set list. A set list is usually a bunch of tracks that you have that you've made and you're going to perform. So that's going to be a set list that you need to have prepared ahead of time. once you have your set list all set up and registered and you submit it, you have to wait for it to be accepted. So once it's accepted, you want to go ahead and go to submit your performances, and you're going to start with finding the venue name. They're going to give you a list of a whole bunch of different venues. So go ahead and type that venue that you will be performing at and see if it's listed. So if your venue is not listed, you simply can't register that. So that's the only downfall about this. And just fill out the remainder details about the venue, the city, all that good stuff. And keep this in mind, there are submission deadlines when it comes to submitting some performances. So it'll tell you right here, like date of performance, January 1st to March 31st. That's the time frame that you have to go ahead and register all your set lists and performances. So take heed and make sure that you're doing it on time. And one thing to note before you go ahead and do this is you need to have direct deposit already set up with ASCAP. So make sure you have your direct deposit information all registered with ASCAP, and this should be no problem. Alright, and lastly, number 8, we're going to talk about Songtrust. Now, Songtrust is a third-party platform that takes care of publishing administration stuff. That basically means they take care of a lot of the back-end royalty jobs that you can do, but they do it for you because it is a lot of work. So Songtrust is cool because they collect all sorts of royalties that you probably didn't even know of. So they take care of a lot of the major mechanical royalties, like from Facebook. So if you have music spinning on Facebook, you got music spinning on YouTube and a whole bunch of other platforms, it's just safe to log in and register with these guys. It's $100, but it's definitely going to be worth your time, because at the end of the day, you want to concentrate more on the back end stuff like marketing, advertising, and creating great content. So when it comes to collecting royalties, you just kind of want it to happen. So Songtrust is there for you, and I highly suggest it. I've used it before, and it's something that's a walk in the park, and they pay out quarterly as well. So that's pretty dope. And this is how you collect your major music royalties. Now, I'm glad you guys tuned in for this lesson, because it's going to pay off a great deal at the end of the day. And one thing I want you to know is that when it comes to collecting royalties and actually making all this happen, there's a lot of back end work that needs to go in to actually creating these streams so you can get paid for your royalties and stuff, right? It comes from placements, it comes from streams, it comes from hard work. I want you guys to be realistic about your goals. I don't want you expecting big paychecks in the beginning. This is all something that takes time and takes time to develop. So if you have your head on right, you know exactly what you need to do in order to achieve these kind of numbers. Stay tuned for the rest of the lessons where we get into how you actually start creating multiple streams of revenue, and this is simply one, so you want to lock this one down as soon as possible.